Sai Ram. During one of the exhibitions that the students of the Sri Sathya Institute of Higher Learning and the Sri Sathya Higher Secondary School were conducting, this beautiful episode took place. Before that, let me tell you that exhibitions where the students would do different items and different things and put them on display for Swami would be attended by Swami in those years. Yes, perfection is not a small thing, but it lies in these little things. These are little things for the world, but they mean a world for the people involved, and Swami used to attend these exhibitions. But many times these exhibitions would become exhibitions of our ignorance and an expression or experience of Swami's divine wisdom. The popular episode that comes to mind is that of a burglar alarm. Some students had made this burglar alarm and they said, Swami, if you put your hand over here, the alarm will go off and the light will light up. Swami put his hand there and nothing happened. So the student excused himself and said, Swami, just 1 minute, quickly checked all the connections. He put his hand and he saw the light was coming. Then he said, yes, Swami, now it is working. The burglar alarm is working. Now Swami put his hand again. Again, no sound was heard, no light went off. And they were all thinking, what happened? Swami then smiled and said, I am not that kind of a thief. I am Chitta Chora. Meaning, I am not your common burglar. I am the one who steals the heart. What a lovely insight which comes at the end of this small episode. It was during that exhibition that another interesting episode took place. Swami went to an exhibit which consisted of a bullock cart, a car, and an aeroplane. And Swami asked, what is this about? The student who was explaining said, Swami, these are the 3 ways to God. What are they? Swami, bullock cart is the karma marga, the path of karma yoga, the path of action. It is very slow. The car is bhakti yoga, bhakti marga, the path of devotion. It is faster. But Swami, the aeroplane, the flight, that is Jnana yoga, the Jnana marga, the path of knowledge. It is the loftiest, it is the fastest. And the student felt very happy at this explanation that he had given. In fact, he had borrowed this explanation from an earlier discourse of Bhagwan himself. But then Swami brought in this important insight. Swami said, remember, if you fall off an aeroplane, there is no chance of survival at all. And then Swami smiled and moved on. Ever since we have learnt that there are 3 paths to God, the path of karma or selfless action, service, the path of bhakti, that of devotion, and the path of jnana, that of knowledge, this question has always been in our minds as to which of these 3 paths are the best. Swami has given multiple interpretations for Sai. One of them is S stands for service or the karma marga, karma yoga. A stands for adoration or the bhakti marga and bhakti yoga. I stands for illumination, the jnana marga or jnana yoga. Let us realize that without S, Sai becomes only I. Without A, it is only C. And without I, it is only Sa. If we want Sai, we need S, A and I. That in itself should tell us that all these 3, karma, bhakti and jnana, action, devotion and knowledge, all 3 are essential for us to achieve our Sai. Now imagine a person suffering from the dreaded disease tuberculosis goes to a doctor. The doctor prescribes not one antibiotic but multiple antibiotics to combat this infection. Let us in this case consider that 3 antibiotics are prescribed. One of them is to fight the primary infection. The second one is to slow down and stop the growth of the multiple bacteria that are involved over here. And the third one is to fight off those few resistant bacteria which the first 2 antibiotics are unable to touch. Now, if the patient were to ask, Doctor, which is the best among these 3 antibiotics? Let me take a triple dose of that itself. The doctor would reply, no, my dear one, it doesn't work that way. You need to take all these three, then only will you be cured of your disease. Now that analogy holds true not just for tuberculosis, the disease in the world, but also for the disease of the world, the Bhavaroga. Bhavaroga that we all suffer from, because of which we go through this cycle of birth and death. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. Again and again, birth and death, from the womb to the tomb and back to the womb and again to the tomb. This cycle of birth and death is because we suffer from Bhavaroga. And in order to get rid of this Bhavaroga, to get cured of this completely, we need all the three antibiotics of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Why? What are the three germs or bacteria that infect us with Bhavaroga? Swami has beautifully described it in his discourses, and I won't go into detail over here because I'm keeping the time in mind. But in brief, let me tell you about the three germs or the three issues or the three problems, which are Mala, Vikshepa and Aavarna. In brief, Mala is the impurities of the mind that we have gathered because of our impure actions across several births. And in order to get rid of Mala, these impurities, what is the way? Like they say, use a thorn to remove a thorn. In the same way, these impurities have been accumulated because of our wrong action. We can correct them with good action, selfless service, seva. That is why Karma Yoga is prescribed in order to get rid of Mala. Then we come to Vikshepa. Vikshepa is the waywardness of the mind. It is the mind's nature to be fickle. What Arjuna said to Lord Krishna, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramathi balavadrudam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Meaning, oh Krishna, my mind is so wavering. I can control the wind, but not the mind. It is so difficult. What do I do? This waywardness of the mind can be overcome by bhakti or devotion to God. Devotion to God that brings surrender, that brings equanimity. Such equanimity is needed in order to still the mind. And therefore, in order to overcome Vikshepa, we need Bhakti Yoga. And finally, there is Aavarna. Aavarna is the wrong identification, wrong self-identification. We identify with the self with the small s instead of the self with the capital S. We become egoistic. We identify with the body, dehabhimana, instead of having atmabhimana. This wrong identification is like a covering, is like a thing that blinds us from knowing our true identity, and this is another issue. This can be overcome by the path of Jnana, Jnana Yoga or the Jnana Marga. And that is why we need a combination of all the three, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, in order to overcome respectively Vikshepa, Mala and Aavarna, so that we are free, we are rid from this disease called Bhavaroga. If I were to translate these three yogas into simple English terms, Jnana Yoga would be knowing, Karma Yoga would be doing, and Bhakti Yoga would be feeling. Let me take you back to the early 2000s when I was a college student at the Sri Sathya Institute of Higher Learning. As students, one of our biggest aspirations would be to be a part of Swami's entourage, which he takes along with him to Kodaikanal during the summer. Because it was said that Prashantinilayam and Puttaparthi is like Swami's office, Brindavan, Whitefield in Bangalore was like his home, and Kodaikanal is Swami's playground. Even if you don't get a chance to witness Leelas, you get the chance to do Padaseva to Swami, dine with Swami, see Swami from up close, so close that his image becomes imprinted in the mind and the heart forever. How much ever I tried, I never got the opportunity to travel with Swami to Kodaikanal. So this year, I was so determined that I must somehow make the cut and be part of that list. But even that year, I was in for a disappointment. I didn't get selected. And so when Swami along with his entourage of students left for Kodaikanal, I left for my residence to my home in Mumbai at that point in time. Now in Mumbai, I suddenly got an inspired idea. I said, Swami, you tell that Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava, mother is God, father is God. That means you are there in them as well. I might not get the chance to be near you in Kodaikanal, but I have the chance to be near you in my parents in Bombay. So I will treat my parents the way I treat you because you are in them. And thus, something interesting happened during that summer vacation. One night, as my mother was going to bed, she asked me, Arvind, can you just press my feet a bit? They are aching. Usually what would happen is I would say, yes, mom, and go and press it for a while and go back. This time I said, oh, definitely, mother, I will. Because suddenly it struck my mind, hey, here's a chance to do Padaseva. So I went and began to press her feet for a long time. After some time, she said, no, it's okay, I am fine now. I said, no problem, mother. If I'm disturbing you, I'll stop. But if it's making you happy, let me do. She was also very thrilled. Why not get a free and longer leg massage? She said, yes, go on. I'm very happy. For me, it was like I'm closing my eyes and imagining that I'm pressing Swami's feet. And though I was pressing my mother's feet, I was feeling so blissful and happy as if I was pressing Swami's feet themselves. This is the power of the mind. Swami says, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. Meaning, the mind is responsible for the bondage as well as liberation for man. Because whichever side it turns to the side of the world, you get locked in bondage. It turns to the side of the Lord, of God, you get liberated. So Swami would say the heart is the lock for which mind is the key. Turn it towards God and get liberated. And so when we are able to see the divinity in every action, thought and deed of a word of ours, then we are able to enjoy that freedom, that moksha, if I may call it that way. So I was enjoying this Padaseva opportunity. This was what happened throughout the vacation. Whenever I got the opportunity to press my father's or mother's feet, I would feel that I'm pressing Swami's feet. It was more so with my mother's feet because they felt also like Swami's feet. Swami's feet are so dainty, delicate, soft, tender, beautiful. Oh, yet his calves are so powerful and masculine, like that of a footballer. Oh my God, on one occasion when I had the opportunity to press his feet in Trai Vrindavan, I was thinking I don't want to hurt his feet. So I was pressing them gently. And Swami looks at me, looks at others and says, you didn't have breakfast? Press harder. And he shows how you have to wring his feet, like you're drying some clothes, you're wringing a cloth dry, like that. And doing that, my arm started aching. Swami was sitting so peacefully calm, without flinching even a bit. So, well, that was a detour. But yes, coming back here, I enjoyed the vacation. And when Swami came back from Kodaikanal, he came to Vrindavan. I rushed back to Vrindavan to enjoy darshan with Swami. That time, this beautiful experience happened. For almost 3 days in a row, every time, the line that I was seated in got token number 1, and I got the opportunity to sit right in the front in Trai Vrindavan at the Jhula at Swami's lotus feet, and I got the chance to massage his feet. And at this time, it was too much of a coincidence for me to ignore. 3 opportunities in 3 days, the likes of which I had never got so far in my life, and now I know that after that also I never got again in my life that way, could have meant only one thing. Swami was showing me that when you pressed your parents' feet, thinking of me, it reached me, and here is proof of that. Dear brothers and sisters, when I pressed my parents' feet, I knew this. There was knowledge that parents are God. Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava. Knowledge is very important. Jnana Yoga is important. But then knowledge alone is not enough. It has to be backed by action. You have to actually press their feet. Karma Yoga is necessary. But Karma Yoga is of no use if it is done mechanically. It has to be done with that feeling, with that bhava. That's where Bhakti Yoga comes in. And this is how I see that in order to achieve and attain the lotus feet of the Lord, we need karma, bhakti and jnana. And that, in my humble opinion, is the reason why Swami made the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization with three wings: the spiritual wing, the service wing, and the devotional wing. It is not that it's optional that you choose any one of them. Yes, we may have a liking or a tendency towards one of them, but we need to participate in study circles, listen to Swami's discourses, read Sai literature, participate in bhajans, do namasmarana, and then definitely be part of service and seva. We have to do, and Swami would say, seva is your birthright, meaning it's a right that you have to look at it. It's not a duty. We often look at seva as a duty. But on one occasion, Swami had told all of us students who were working for him at the ashram that seva is your birthright. It's a right. You must demand it and do. You should not consider it as a duty that has been imposed on you. So we need all these three. During his discourse on the 28th of March 1968, which Swami delivered at Venkatagiri, Swami brings the analogy of a clock. Now, if you look at the clock, it has three hands: the seconds hand, the minutes hand, and the hour hand. Which of the three is most important? We will say it is the hour hand. Naturally, I want to know whether it is 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Yeah, maybe the minutes hand is also important because I would like to know whether it is 6:30 or 7:15. Seconds hand I don't care about at all. I don't care if it is 7:15 35 seconds or 7:15 5 seconds. It doesn't matter. But then, if the seconds hand does not move, the minutes hand cannot move at all. In that discourse, Swami said, it's only when the seconds hand completes one complete revolution, circulation around the face of the clock, the minutes hand moves a little bit. And when the minutes hand completes a full circle, the hours hand moves by 1 unit. So all of them are interlinked, and if the seconds hand doesn't move, nothing moves. And Swami said, karma, action, that is the seconds hand. Constantly you are involved in action because action is inevitable in the world. As the Bhagavad Gita also says, action is important. That is karma yoga. In fact, in that discourse, Swami says, this is what the sthula sharira or the gross body has to do. Be indulging in action throughout. When that is done in the correct manner, when it is done as karma yoga, then the minutes hand, which is the sukshma sharira, the subtle body, which is consisting of the mind, the emotions, all of this, that will have some movement, and that is the growth of devotion, love for God, bhakti that comes in. So bhakti yoga depends on karma yoga. And then Swami says in that discourse, as the minutes hand moves, the hours hand, which is the karana sharira, the causal body, the identification, the self, the jnana yoga part, that moves. When there is a lot of devotion, lot of expression of love for God, there is that spiritual insight or jnana, the enlightenment that happens. So all three are interlinked. In another analogy, Swami says, karma yoga is the primary school, bhakti yoga is the higher secondary school, and jnana yoga is the university and college. Of course, the college degrees matter. Nobody asks what grade you got in first grade or second grade. But without first grade and second grade and high school, you can't go to college or university. In conclusion, dear brothers and sisters, I feel that karma, bhakti and jnana are not three different paths that lead us to God. They are in fact three different layers of the same path. When a road was being laid near my home, I observed that first they put lot of stones, and then they cover it up with mud and they pack it tight, adding water to it. Finally, they lay the tar on it, the coal tar, and then that beautiful road is ready. That road cannot come into existence and cannot last long if any one of the three, stones, mud or tar, is missing. In the same way, I feel like the three layers of the road, karma, bhakti and jnana yoga, are the three layers of this road that leads us to God. And therefore, it is not a question of choosing one of the three or two of the three, but participating wholeheartedly in all of the three, knowing that some of them are necessary in more or less amount at different stages of our lives. As Professor Kasturi, Swami's biographer, beautifully put it, this is what the Lord does. He teaches the sleeping to wake, the waking to rise, the rising to sit, the sitting to stand, the standing to walk, the walking to run, the running to reach, the reaching to merge. And in this process, as I said, different stages, the sleeping stage, the waking, the sitting, the walking, the running, the reaching, the merging, each of them require karma, bhakti and jnana yoga in different proportions, and accordingly Swami guides us. But this much is completely true, that we need all the three. How lucky we are, dear brothers and sisters, that we have our dear Swami clarifying all our doubts, helping us and ensuring that we reach his lotus feet. Blessed indeed are we, Swami, and we are grateful to you for that. We have only one prayer. May the love that we have for you in our hearts keep growing stronger every passing moment. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.